The year is 1952. India is entering its first general elections. The then Chief Election Commissioner, Shri Sukumar Sen, was given a very Herculean task. With majority of the population being illiterate, it was quite a task. But this gentleman, he was up to it. He used symbols to conduct free India's first elections and then began the journey of one of the pillars of India's democracy, the Election Commission of India. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Navjot Singh and I want to speak to you about a very important topic today. Along with the executive, judiciary and the legislature, Election Commission, the Comptroller and the Auditor General of India, UPSC and other such autonomous organizations are integral to maintain the sanctity of India's democracy. Now let me take you back in time to 1971, the election in Raebareli. India's then Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi, goes on to win those elections. And her competitor, Raj Narayan, he files a case in Allahabad High Court. It was alleged that Mrs. Gandhi, she used government machinery for electoral malpractices, there was misuse of power and bribery. At that time, the Justice of Allahabad High Court, Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha, found Mrs. Gandhi guilty of using her power for gaining electoral victory. Ladies and gentlemen, she was disqualified for 6 years. For the first time in the history of Indian democracy was a sitting Prime Minister ousted. And what happens? 13 days later, on 25th of June 1975, emergency is declared and most of the opposition leaders, including Mr. Raj Narayan, are jailed and press is gagged and the entire situation is in front of you. You know all of that. Now another incident, 1989, T.N. Seshan, the then Cabinet Secretary to the government of VP Singh, the then Prime Minister, he calls the Cabinet Sec, Mr. Seshan, and asks him to tell the Chief Election Commissioner to organize the elections, to set the date for the elections. To which Mr. Seshan says, "Sir, our task is not to tell them when to conduct elections. We should simply tell them to make preparations." And it was then Mr. Seshan decided, as he has written in his memoirs also, that when my time comes, I will not do this. I will not be inadvertently obedient. I will not be meek. I will stand up for what is right. And so be it. That's what happened when Mr. Seshan served as the Chief Election Commissioner. And during the then government 1990 to 1996, he in fact in 1993 and thereabouts, he stopped one of the elections in Bihar for violence. The opposition parties, the political parties, they ganged up against him and took him to the Supreme Court, where Supreme Court really vindicated his stand, and then was born the Model Code of Conduct. And when the Model Code of Conduct, along with that, Mr. Seshan was steadfast. He cracked down on the muscle and money power, stopped bogus voting, and enforced strict voter ID rules. Ladies and gentlemen, it is these rare gentlemen who show spine to the greatest seats of power that really vindicate India's democratic principles. Cut to 2002, when Gujarat was burning, James Lindo, he denied early instituting the polls a little early, to which he was taken to the Supreme Court, and again Supreme Court sided with him. In 2011, Shri S.Y. Qureshi, he added voter education and cracked down on paid news as well. And in 2019, Ashok Lavasa, the then CEC, he showed his dissent in the electoral practices. He was sidelined and eventually he resigned, and he then later on went on to join the Asian Development Bank. I don't want to comment on whatever the latest allegations have been brought by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. He talked about 1 crore mystery voters in Maharashtra over 1 lakh fake voters in Karnataka's Mahadevpura, and 40 lakh fabricated voters in Maharashtra. See, I believe the sanctity of our constitutional offices needs to be upheld. They really need to be upheld. And I believe before the allegations are proven, I will not like to comment on this. But one thing I certainly want to tell here, I certainly believe that India's democracy rests on the voices of its people. We need to speak up when the time is right. Selective amnesia, speaking about something and not speaking about other things, that is not what will make our country great. We want to become a Vishwaguru, and for all things, I love my country like anything. I want to make my country great. I want to contribute in doing whatever it takes to make India great. But my patriotism is not blind. I will ask questions. I will raise objections. I want India to be held accountable. I want all of our citizens to stand up for what is right. Few days back, when one of our army men were mishandled, were mistreated, it really pained me. You should understand that the strength of India's democracy is its institutions. I'm sure the Election Commission of India will set the record straight. It will come up clean, and it will, give the necessary evidence and clarification that is needed. And all the speculation is laid to rest. Because I believe elections in a democratic setup, the bedrock is the electoral process. Your universal adult franchise, our right to vote, and the sanctity of this process needs to be protected. It needs to be upheld. As of now, I would say these, whatever remarks Mr. Gandhi has made, I would consider them as allegations unless they are proven. But I am sure the government of the day, as well as the Election Commission of India, more so the Election Commission of India, because it's a responsibility of the commission. It should come up clean. It should bring out the matter loud and clear. It should bring out the matter clearly and uphold the sanctity of our democratic process. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Jai Hind.